Forward with. I mean, really, all Starbreeze have to do is stick the landing. Don't fumble the bag. Don't fumble the bag.
This is the one thing we didn't want to happen.
Payday 3. What a game. What hasn't been said about this game? I mean, it had one of the worst launches of 2023. Pretty much immediately cemented its reputation as just a game that doesn't work, that was unfinished. Angry people, understandable. I haven't even felt like really playing the game that much, to be honest. I haven't really been doing much content on it. I'm just going to be airing out a couple of the issues that I have with the game that I think are really holding it back the most. Obviously, there's a whole list of things that are going wrong with the game right now, but just a bit of a warning, it is going to get a little bit rambly most likely. And look, I don't want to give the idea that I don't like the game. I do like the game. I want it to be a better game is all, and it's been 4 months since launch, and I'm still just looking at it like, come on, when are you gonna start moving, you know? One thing I can say is that Starbreeze did reach out to the partners for a bit of feedback recently, which I did participate in, so remains to be seen if that goes anywhere, but at least I was able to get my feedback. But even still, I mean, that first week where we just had no servers at all, and everything just absolutely fell down the stairs. Pretty sad, pretty heartbreaking. Is anybody here even still playing Payday 3? I mean, please let me know. I'd love to know. First of all, elephant in the room, online only. Honestly, I've never quite seen the concept of online only blow up so immediately at launch. I mean, it was almost immediate that the servers just blew up and the game was unplayable on launch. All issues that people brought up as potential problems with the online-only system of not being able to play the game offline and having to rely on not just like Steamworks or whatever other servers they have, but rely on like honestly, for a company that has no experience in how to run servers in that way, already seemed to be a massive undertaking. I mean, Payday 2 always relied on Steam, and I guess now Epic Game Services for whatever reason. Obviously, you know, I feel like if you're gonna full send the online-only concept, make sure that you have the greatest servers of all time to prevent this. I guess they didn't. Oopsie daisies. And you might be thinking, oh, well, I don't know, if the servers don't work, you can just play the game offline, right? Nope, that wasn't an option. Your only options were to retry or turn the game off and go do something else. And I understand the idea that the game is integrally a co-op game. Like, obviously you're gonna have to be connected to the internet to play it, but I mean, if relying on like one single like server is the be-all end-all of any chance playing the game, I mean, it's just such a baffling idea that they went through with this. To this day, it's still impacted the legacy of the game in a way that I don't even know how they can rectify. Again, I'm not sure why the decision was reached to make the game fully dependent on their server provider to do anything at all within the game. I mean, even the progression is server-side. And there's no way of hosting a server that is actually your own server. It's always going to be a server that they have given you through the matchmaking, which that's another kind of worms I'll get into. I couldn't find a source on this, but I've heard people saying that online only was implemented for anti-cheat reasons, but obviously that didn't work at all. I mean, you can go on the Nexus mods page right now, and like there's 2 mods that are just like pack files that you just install and get max rank. I mean, there is literally no anti-cheat in the game, so I don't even know why that was brought up as a reason for it. Another opinion I've seen is that it's for the microtransactions, to make sure that people can't tamper with those. Honestly, even if that were true, at this point, I feel like the people are still going to find a way. And we don't even know when that's going to get added, by the way. That's going to be a whole other problem in itself. But really, the online-only dependency is just cheapen the value of the game as a whole. I mean, you can't even play it if you don't have internet. If you have slightly bad internet, you've got no backup. And even if you have good internet, what if the servers don't work? I mean, I'll be honest, servers have been okay lately, but I don't know how much of that is because of the player count, okay? I doubt it's only because the player count dropped, which it did. But it wouldn't surprise me too much at this point. Also, when it comes to the matchmaking, I mean, I would like to say that it works sometimes, but until I see like an actual example of somebody getting a match in good time, and a full match, and a match where people can drop in, I'm just gonna say that it doesn't work at all. Like, the whole point of matchmaking is that you make the match. If it takes 5 minutes to find one match, and you're in a lobby with no one else in there, then it doesn't work. It's really holding the game back. People can't just log in, hop on, get into a match, unless you have a 4 stack of friends. Good luck getting a full match. It's basically not going to happen. Having 3 other friends hop on with you to get a full match being the only way that you can get a full match, that just shouldn't happen. Especially right now when a lot of people I know have just uninstalled the game completely. I mean, at least give us a server browser to find the matches that have people in them that are left. This isn't even mentioning the fact that if you do get a match, you're probably going to get a match with a console player.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Console players can't see chat, they can't hear chat, they have no way of communicating to you. So say you want to ask if it's stealth or loud, which by the way, there's no stealth or loud filters. It's just going to be a complete crapshoot. You have no idea what to expect. So you've got empty matches, and you've got no communication options if you play with console players. I mean, yeah, you have chat if you're on PC, but that's about it. I mean, it feels like there's just absolutely no, like, crew feeling to the game, which is very, very funny because that was originally what I expected to be like a highlight of the game, like the whole cooperative element, You know, people working together trying to get through the heist. I mean, honestly, it feels like the lack of getting consistent matches and being able to talk to people and having that, like, pre-heist selection lobby and having people host their own lobbies that you can join. Like a server browser, like Crime, like the lack of that is just really adding to this lack of, like, social feeling to the whole experience. In Payday 3, there are no hosts. There's nobody who is really determining the vibe of the match. There's nobody who is, like, saying what goes, you know. You hop in a game in Payday 2, look, whoever's the green guy, you know, sir, yes, sir, hoorah, like, I ain't gonna say nothing to piss that guy off. I mean, really, it felt like that element was quite important in the most memorable matches that you have in Payday 2. And in Payday 3, it just feels like every match that you get into is more or less the exact same. And then, of course, you've got the UI issues within the game. What the hell? I thought the UI was gonna be like, this is probably my fault, right? But we were told it's unfinished. I mean, I don't know if people remember, but they were really trying to make sure people didn't see the menu at first for whatever reason. But I was like, well, it's bare bones, you know, April build, it's an April build, guys. And then the game comes out, and I'm looking at it like, they've slightly changed some graphics. It functionally works the same. Like, I guess it's not the worst UI I've ever seen in a game, but it's really, compared to what we had in Payday 2, it just feels like stuff is arranged at complete random. You know, the tabs don't have any rhyme or reason to where things are put. It's just like endless scroll menus. I mean, primary weapons and secondary weapons aren't even a separate tab. And why do the C-stacks look like V-Bucks, by the way? Is that just me? And a pretty big lacking feature is there's no flipping unready button. It's like 4 months in, we still don't have an unready button. We still cannot unready. We still can't buy assets unless you're in, like, the main menu, which there's no way to go to the main menu without leaving the lobby. And even when you're buying assets, you can only buy one at a time. And I think this is all contributing to the fact that people just don't want to play it, you know? Why would you want to hop in a game? Like, it doesn't matter what content it's got. Oh, it's got a new heist. It's got new guns. When you've got a menu that is horrible to use and matchmaking that barely works, people just are gonna not want to play the game at all. It doesn't matter what you add, really. And really doesn't have much of a style that is sort of iconic or unique to the game. The thing that's unique about it is how infamously bad it is and people don't enjoy using it. Compared to Payday 2, you open it up, and, you know, maybe it's not the most advanced menu, but I feel like the blue motif, you know, CrimeNet being referenced, it kind of gives it a vibe like you're logging into some kind of heisting network, if that makes any sense. And that's not mentioning the list of quality of life changes that Payday 2 had over the years that Payday 3 seemingly hasn't launched with at all. Even some bare minimum UI elements, such as, why can't we see the deployables of our teammates during matches? I mean, it feels like in a co-op game I should be able to know if somebody has a medic bag, ammo bag, whatever, anything like that. And of course, yeah, you could probably stop and ask in text chat or maybe use the voice wheel, although, let's be honest, the voice wheel just kind of spams chat and nobody pays attention to it. But I gotta ask, on console you don't have text chat, so, I mean, in general, there's no request armor on the voice wheel as is anyway, which I just find quite baffling considering that it's one of the most essential elements to doing well in this game is having armor and keeping your armor up. And yet we can't even request it. Oh, but we can say hi or piece of shit drill. I mean, it's cute and all, but I mean, can we get some, like, actual useful stuff there, perhaps? But obviously, I mean, what if the gameplay is good? Which I think the gameplay is good. And honestly, I feel like the changes that are coming up to the gameplay, they all sound great. But without meaningful quality of life changes and fixes to the core issues such as the matchmaking, or adding fan-requested features such as a server browser, I mean, it's even weird to say that the option to kick somebody in your lobby should be considered a quality of life feature or a fan-requested feature. I don't know why it wasn't there to begin with. It's such a core thing to be able to control who is in your party, who is in your match. What if someone's griefing, you know? Gameplay, balancing changes, and adding more content, that's great, super, but it just feels like maybe it's not going to be much of an effective way of bringing players back or improving the general experience of the game as a whole. That said, the content on offer right now, with the guns, the gameplay that we have, I mean, I already find that maybe it's the lack of randomization to heists on the level of Payday 2, but I'd say now I am, like, completely mentally clocked out of the game. Like, I hop on it every now and then, but I can't play more than, like, an hour 30, 2 hours without feeling like, I feel like I've done this a million times before. Meanwhile, in Payday 2, you know, yes, I've done it a million times before. I got, like, 3,000 hours in that game. Maybe it's the randomization, maybe it's just like the minor changes in each heist that make it feel like you're playing something new, even if it's a heist that you played before. What is the point of hopping on right now without any, like, meaningful announcements or changes? Or, I mean, we've heard so many times before how much is on the table, we're looking into it. I think now if we don't get announcements about their plans soon, or reveals about what's coming, or like a solid announcement that the direction of the game as a whole is going to take a drastic shift to 2024. And it's not just going to be a situation of, we're going to push all the DLC out and just hope that things fix themselves. Really, I feel like the way the game is in its current state, if it continues to sort of marinate without a reliable way of hosting your own matches with your friends, or a matchmaking system that works, or a server browser, quality of life changes, or UI fixes. Pretty big list, but I mean, this doesn't have to all come at once. This just has to be, again, more than on the table. This has to be stuff that we know is coming. With the content that we know is coming so far, I don't feel excited at all. I just feel like, oh, that's gonna come out. I'll play it probably once or twice, then we're back to square one. The situation the game is in 4 months on is just an insane stark contrast to the absolute hype train that was Payday 3 pre-launch. We had that thing in June, which was very grateful to go to. We got to play the game early, I came back, made a video telling people how much I loved it, how much I'm looking forward to it. It was at Gamescom, people who played it loved it, then it won awards at Gamescom. People were just loving the game so much. It felt like it almost contributed to the fact that core issues within the game's development and direction were just not getting addressed because, well, people are loving it so far, why would we focus on that, It's almost like post-nut clarity looking back on that era, like how sure we were the game was going to work out, how excited we were, and I'm definitely part of that. And I mean, I like this game, I want to love it, and the place that it's gotten to after 4 months, and the scars that it holds from launch, it's a bit of a tall order to look at, but I think Starbreeze have to be prepared to start taking some tall orders, because Payday 3 has such a unique series of issues that I feel like I've never seen within a co-op game before. Like, I've never seen a co-op game before where you get disbanded from a lobby after beating a heist. That stuff is crazy to me. I don't even know what they were thinking with that. To describe the issues the game has, I mean, do you get into the progression system? Do you get into the lack of social features such as voice chat or text chat on console? Do you get into skill balance? Do you get into the UI not being where it should be? Lack of quality of life features from Payday 2? Do you get into the lack of heister interactions? Microtransactions? Do you get into the DLC pricing? I mean, where do you even begin, really? Like, if I had to describe in the most general sense what is just not feeling right about this game is that, on average, the sort of heist feeling just isn't there. And I know that's not very constructive, but it's hard to describe what one issue is contributing to that in a game that has so many problems, right? Maybe it's lack of voice chat, maybe it's the heists themselves, maybe it's the lack of randomization. Maybe it's even the lack of, like, a bag indicator. I kind of miss that whenever you throw a bag into the loot van. It's like that serotonin hit just isn't there. I remember, like, Payday 2. I mean, most of the content I made on that game I don't think would even exist without the bloody menus or the lobbies or just little stuff like that. I mean, skill of noob. Classic quote. That literally couldn't have happened when the game came out because there was no lobby chat. In terms of making content on Payday 3, it just, again, in a weird sense, it just feels like there's not really much to talk about or go over or meme that hasn't already been done by now. And I guess what is there just isn't that interesting to me for the moment. I mean, it feels like trying to ignore the huge issues of the game just isn't really feasible or possible. Even if you put aside all the massive issues it has, all the stuff that we do have on offer, I feel like we've already experienced, we've already been through, we've already seen, done content on. And it kind of sucks to say that, and, here I am on the mic, I don't ever do this, but really, it's just, let's just cut it off here. I mean, TLDR, I'm just hoping for a very strong showing this year for Payday 3. I feel like this is probably the only year that it has to turn things around for the community. Like, we want this game to go hard as fuck, And really, to get to that point, we need to start seeing some proper, fundamental changes, some complete 180s on pre-existing stances. Let's see some motivation. Let's have Starbreeze show that they really are committed to the project. They really are ready to turn things around. No more table, no more promises, just let's see it, I don't know, I mean, this was just a little bit of a ramble. If I forgot anything, or I glossed over anything, or you're curious about anything, or you have your own thoughts, I mean, let me know. Are you even still playing the game in the comments? Just, I will read that, I will reply, I want to see what's going on. And let's hope when stuff starts moving, we'll get some fun videos on this channel. We'll get a PSA or whatever. I mean, I've just kind of put them on the back burner right now. I haven't really had much of a motivation to make them. One day I'm sure I will. But fuck it, we ball. Thanks for watching, I'll see you around.